Hey guys, welcome again. My name is Bahroz, and in today's video I will talk about Amazon 16 leadership principles. What are they and how do we go about really understanding them? And the reason it is important to understand those 16 principles is because both your assessment test, if you get an assessment test from Amazon, or your interview are dependent on you understanding and demonstrating that you have in past delivered on those principles, and also reassuring the interviewer or the recruiter that even in future you will be able to demonstrate those leadership principles. And as I said, it is relevant both for your interview and also for your assessment test, because even in the test you will get questions where Amazon will be judging you whether you have those qualities, those leadership qualities in you or not. Now, the reason I have come on this subject is because I coach numerous people who reach out to me, book a session with me on how they can go about acing a recruitment process for Amazon. So I've coached many individuals who have successfully been able to ace the recruitment process and have joined Amazon as a company across the globe. Now, in case you are interested in getting one-to-one live coaching session from me, you can do so as well by booking a session with me. I will leave the link in the description of this video with regards to how you can go about booking this session. Now, additionally speaking, I want to call out there's a separate video that I've made where I call out how you can go about preparing for the Amazon interview. Of course, you need to understand the 16 leadership principles, which I talk in this video. However, there is a separate process altogether to prepare for the interview itself. I highly recommend you check out that video as well. Other than that, there are two other videos that I've created on Amazon work style assessment and work simulation assessment, which are very important for you to go through the recruitment process of Amazon. Even before you go into the interview, you have to clear those assessment. Again, these leadership principles that I will be talking about in this video are very important for those two tests as well. So after going through this video, I also recommend you go through those tests as well, both the work style and work simulation test, in case one of those tests or both of those tests have come your way by Amazon and Amazon recruiter has asked you to appear on those tests. I highly recommend you check them out so you can prepare better. But now let's get rolling into the 16 leadership principles. So what I will be doing in this video is not just calling out those 16 leadership principles. You can simply go and read about them on Amazon website. However, what I would be doing is not just telling you what those principles are, which you already know or can check out from the website, but also explaining you what they actually mean. And when I say what they actually mean is for you to know as to how you can relate to those principles and what is that you have to say in the interview for you to demonstrate that you have command on those principles. So we will be talking all of that. You can find those principles written down elsewhere. However, you won't be able to understand by just reading the principles as to how you can contribute here, or how do these principles relate to you. What are those examples that you can make use of? So I will be explaining you all of that in this particular video. I have some notes in front of me, so I will be referring to my notes as well. Now, the best way to demonstrate that you are familiar with the leadership principles and can also, now the best way to demonstrate, at least in your interview, that you are familiar with the leadership principles, not just that you understand, but you can also deliver on them in future, is by telling them or sharing them an example from your past experience where you have demonstrated that particular leadership principle. Once they know that you've done it in past, they're reassured that you can do it in future as well. And as I take you through those leadership principles, I will also call out the critical ones, the ones which are super important, at least for the managerial roles, because there are 16 leadership principles. Not all 16 leadership principles are equally relevant for each of the roles. So for instance, if you are in warehouse, there are separate leadership principles that are relevant for you. If you are in sales, there are separate leadership principles that are relevant for you. If you are in a management role, could be finance, could be HR, could be marketing, and so on and so forth, then there are separate leadership principles which are more focused towards those particular roles. So as I take you through each of the leadership principles and explain what they mean, also share with you an example so you understand them fully, I will be also calling out which ones are the critical ones for managerial roles. Now let's start with customer obsession. Here what Amazon is telling us is leaders start with the customer and work backwards. They work vigorously to earn and keep customers' trust. Although leaders pay attention to competitors, they are more obsessed over the customers. So essentially, they are more obsessed with customers as against they could be with the competitors. And here the idea is that Amazon is more focused on their own strategy, on their way of doing things as against copying others. So here what you need to do is always prioritize customer needs and wants. So whenever you have a choice between whether you should address need of an internal need of an employee, need of a business internally, let's say making a presentation, making a meeting deck, or reviewing something with the management, as against fulfilling a customer need, always opt for fulfilling the customer need. That is the core priority that Amazon has. Similarly, understand and anticipate customer preferences and pain points. So understanding what the customer is wanting, what are their pain points, and how you can solve those. It is very critical that you understand their issues, their pain points, their struggles with regards to everything that Amazon has to offer, and how you can make it simple and easy for them. And continuously gather and act to customer feedback. So whenever you receive feedback from the customer, immediately assess, understand, and act on it. Don't wait on it. This is what is meant by customer obsession. And for example, what you can call out here, or what you can say from your past experience, is something like, I created a customer feedback system to quickly address any complaints which improved our service rating by, let's say, 10, 15, 20 percentage points. So you need to elaborate how you came up with that system, that tool, which was able to reduce the number of complaints that were coming from the customer. So if you can demonstrate something like that from your past experience, where you were able to address a customer query, solve their issues, take a feedback from them, and act on it, then you will be someone who will be demonstrating this particular leadership skill in past, and hence give them reassurance that you can do it in future as well. So here, let me also call out, customer obsession happens to be one of the most critical leadership principle that Amazon has. If you've heard Jeff Bezos talk about it, on any Amazon leadership talk about it, they will always talk about customer obsession as the primary core leadership principle. So even whether you are in a managerial role, non-managerial role, this particular leadership is very important. And here essentially, again, the idea is you need to be prepared to discuss a situation where you went an extra mile to help out a customer. Now let's move to number 2, which is ownership. So here what Amazon says is, leaders act on behalf of entire company beyond just their own team. So they are not just looking over their team, rather they're looking over their company. They think long term, don't sacrifice long-term value for short-term results. They never say, that's not my job. They take ownership, and that's why this leadership principle is just called ownership. Here, what you need to think about is, when have you taken full responsibility of your tasks and outcomes? Like, not just that you have to deliver a particular task, but also the outcome, responsibility of the outcome, whether the outcome was good or bad, even that is something that you took responsibility of. Even if you only worked on part of the project and you passed on part of the project and the latter half of the project was done by someone else, however, you remained accountable. You took ownership of the entire project. Think about how your actions impact the entire company, not just the team. So whatever you do may be beneficial for your team, may be beneficial for your own agenda, but is it helping the entire company or not? You could be delivering on your own key performing measures. However, they may be isolated from the rest of the company. So whatever action you're doing may be serving you or your team, but is it serving the company or not? Act with long-term perspective, not just immediate results. So whatever action am I taking now, is it going to help me in the long run, or will it hurt me in the long run? Now, it may be beneficial in the short term. However, what is the benefit of this particular action in the long term? And here the example could be like, I saw a problem in another team process and helped fix it, which improved overall performance by this percentage point. So you went over and beyond, above and beyond. So there were issues with a team you were working with, or even a team you were not working with, some other team who you were just collaborating with, and they had certain issue, and you kind of offered your help and fixed that particular issue for them by offering your time, your resources, your energy, your skill. So think of such an instance which has happened in past, where you have offered your help to someone which was not your responsibility. That area was not your responsibility. However, you took ownership beyond your area and solved that particular issue. Next key leadership principle is invent and simplify. Here what Amazon says, leaders expect and require innovation and invention from their teams and always find ways to simplify. So always be looking for doing things in a much simpler way, innovate and find new ways of doing things. They are extremely aware, look for new ideas from everywhere, and are not limited by not invented here. It wasn't invented here, so I don't bother about it. They are not limited by that. Because we do new things, we accept that we may be misunderstood for long periods of time. So even if there is a new way of doing things which is not appreciated by everyone, it is fine because it was not done before in the way you are proposing it to be done, and hence there might be some resistance. So not just invent, not just simplify, but also stand by your ideas, stand by whatever you're proposing. So for instance, here an example could be, I developed a new tool that automated reports, saving us thousands of dollars of our time and effort. So a new report was done. Previously, the team was working on a particular way of reporting which took longer. Maybe they were just using Excel and running data through Excel, and you came in and you made use of some macros or some smart way of consolidating multiple files that were there into one, so that the task which was previously taking 5 hours now is done in 30 minutes. So here again, the idea is you encourage innovation and creativity. So think of times in past where you were creative, you came up with a different idea, different way of doing something. Find ways to make process more efficient and less complicated, making things simple, making things easy, and so it can consume less time, and also maybe there are less errors. So it just doesn't have to be consuming less time. It could be consuming less time, consuming less resources, consuming less money. Resources could be time and money or people, and could be more efficient, could be error free. So anytime you went and changed the process and made it in such a way that there are less errors now being done, that is an idea as well. Focus on continuous improvement and simplification. So in your past, where you were always trying to improve something or the other in the system, in the process, think of those times and relate to those times and bring those as an example that you have to share in your interview. The fourth leadership principle is write a lot. This one I kind of find a bit difficult to understand, so it's important you pay attention. Is leaders have strong judgment and good instincts. This is what Amazon says. They seek diverse perspective and work to disconfirm their beliefs. So constantly they are open to new information, new knowledge, in order for them to be eventually right or make right decisions. So this is more about decision making. How can you go about making the right decisions? And here again, the idea is make informed decisions based on data and experience. Here, when you're talking about this particular leadership principle, you'll have to talk more and more about use of data, use of different inputs, use of experts. So I called in different experts. I made use of data. I analyzed data. I analyzed information. And again, as I said, brought in experts, because you're not the person who is expert at everything. Maybe some other person may have a different perspective. Seek diverse perspectives to challenge your thinking. Again, getting inputs from experts or someone who has a different way of thinking. So you are trying to go for the right decision as against your decision. Build a track record of making good decisions. So how you've constantly made a process where you always come out making good decisions. And the process is, again, always make use of data, always make use of diverse opinion or input from experts, input from your manager or someone who has experience, gathering all of that and then making a decision. An example could be, before launching a product, I did thorough research and got feedback from different teams, leading a successful launch with sales increasing by X percentage points. So how you went about seeking inputs from everyone else and coming up with the right conclusion. For instance, you can talk about how you ran a brainstorming session first. So you brought everyone in the room, you ran a brainstorming session to figure out what is the best idea, and then picked up the leading and the best idea for the particular project that you were working on. By the way, write a lot is another leadership principle which is very heavy on managers. So if you are in a management role, they expect you to make decisions and they expect you to make right decisions. So they would want to know, how do you go about making decisions? Again, this is a leadership principle which is also valid for non-managerial roles, but I think it really becomes more important in managerial roles. Next one I have is learn and be curious. Here what Amazon says is leaders are never done learning and always seek to improve themselves. They are curious about new possibilities and act to explore them. The idea here is never stop learning and never stop seeking new knowledge, new information. It's not like this is it, I have the information, that is it, and I don't need anything else. No, if someone comes up with a different perspective, listen to them, hear them out, and understand. Stay updated on industry trends and best practices. So seek knowledge from external, internal, everywhere before you process anything, process any information. Seek as much information as possible and be open to new ideas and continuous self-improvement. No one is perfect, but be ready to improve yourself constantly. And again, here the example would be I took online courses in, let's say, data analytics, which helped me implement better strategies. So maybe there was a particular tool that you wanted to run in a company and you didn't know how to do it because this was the first time you were doing it. And what you did was you took some online courses in order to educate yourself as to how you can do it better and ace at it. So these are the kind of examples you can think of. Or out of the point of curiosity, what you can also say is that you always you always ask questions, relevant questions, in order to understand how things can be done in a better way, which is curiosity. Can this be done in a better way? Can this be done in a different way? Have we looked at all different angles? Which is playing a devil's advocate. So when you play a devil's advocate, you come from a place of curiosity. So think of times when you were curious in your company as to how and why we are doing certain things the way we are doing, and if you can go and analyze, understand, seek knowledge, and improve it. Those are the kind of examples you can give here. Again, learn and curious as well is something which is very much relevant for managerial roles. Next leadership principle I have is hire and develop the best. Here what Amazon is saying is leaders raise their performance bar with every hire and promotion. And again, here it is important for you to note that when they're hiring you, they're trying to hire someone who is better than the average Amazonian. So when they're judging you, they're kind of going through the office, their team, and trying to assess, okay, their team's level is, let's say, level 7 out of 10. And I want someone who's 7.5 or 7 and above. I don't want to hire someone who is below average, below Amazonian average, and will bring the average down. And that is the leadership principle which is also in play here. They recognize exceptional talent and willingly move them throughout the organization. This is very much important for managerial roles because they are looking for an individual who can identify good talent and can help them, can support them. Leaders develop leaders and take seriously their role in coaching others, and they coach others, they train others. So these are the kind of individuals they want to hire. Again, the idea here is to attract and hire talented individuals and then groom them, provide opportunities for employees to grow and excel, and mentor and develop team members to reach their full potential. So do you have that capability where you can coach, where you can hire the right individual, make sure that you coach them, you teach them, and take them to their full potential so they can maximize what they have to offer. Here example is maybe you started a mentorship program in your previous organization. Maybe you started a program where you would coach people, or you were a trainer, something on those lines where you were coaching, developing, training people. You could be a people manager as well, where you helped someone who was struggling with a particular task, with a particular assignment, with a particular project, and help them out to become a better leader. The next leadership principle I have is insist on higher standards. Again, this is also something which is very important for managerial roles, non-managerial roles as well, but especially managerial roles. And here what Amazon is saying is leaders have relentlessly high standards. Many people may think these standards are unreasonably high. Leaders are continually raising the bar and driving their teams to deliver high quality products, services, and processes. So every time you're kind of making it the bar to rise, making the challenge to rise. Leaders ensure that defects do not get sent down the line and the problems are fixed so they stay fixed. Like you don't pass on the buck, pass on the issue. You fix it where you see the issue. You don't move it around. Always aim for the best quality. Set high goals. Make sure to meet them. Pay attention to detail. This is very important, and the quality in all the work. So not just in, let's say, in the warehouse, or even if it's your email that you're writing, how you can write the best email. It's a proposal that you're writing, it's a communication that you're doing. How can you do it in a best and the quality way? So always keep raising the standard. For instance, here you can talk about I created a quality control process and reduced the product defects by a certain percentage points, or I created a process which improved the quality or the process or the system, overall took the standard or the process quality or the work quality overall up versus the normal or the average. So when was it last time that you created something like that which improved the overall standard of the organization? Next one is think big. Thinking small, and this is what Amazon says, is self-fulfilling prophecy. Leaders create and communicate a bold direction and inspire results. That inspires results. They think differently and look around corners for ways to serve customers. Like they're trying to find every possible way to make things better and are thinking big. How can we achieve something big? So be visionary, ambitious in setting goals. Look for opportunities to innovate and grow. Inspire and motivate your team to achieve extraordinary results. So set high visions. Even if they are challenging, even if you fear putting such vision out there, you're like, wow, I've never set that goal for myself or my team. Put it out there. Here the example would be, I propose expanding into, let's say, international markets or some other customer, some other audience, some other could be market, could be other product as well, which helped increase the sales of the business or which helped increase the targets of the business or delivery of the business overall. Think big is also something which is a core leadership principle for managers. The next leadership principle that I have with me is bias for action. Speed matters in business. This is what Amazon says. Many decisions and actions are reversible and do not need extensive study. We value calculated risk. So be focused on action. Things are reversible. So do the risk analysis, do sensitivity analysis for different options, and then decide that this is the range. This is the maximum I can get. This is the worst I can get. And let's just move on. Let's not get into analysis paralysis. We have some idea. Let's try it. And if we fail, we'll move back. Similarly, what you can talk about is how you did test and learns. So you created a minimal viable product. So instead of going all out, you created a simple minimal viable product or did a test and learn first to see if it works or not, because you wanted to act first as against trying to create the perfect project or the perfect product and then launching it. So again, here, be quick to take actions, making decisions. How can you quickly make decisions? How can you streamline decision making and the action taking? Prioritize speed and agility over perfection. Don't need to be perfect. Find agility and speed. Start something so you can test and learn and iterate and improve. It's like building the plane as we fly. Take calculated risk and learn from failures. Do the sensitivity analysis. See which is high risk, which is low risk. Is it calculated? So at least it's a calculated risk that you're taking. And then if you fail, you learn from it and then do a feedback loop. Like I launched a pilot project for a new feature within 2 weeks, which helped us gather quick feedback and make improvements. So anytime you've had such a launch where you had to do it quickly, it was a pilot launch and you were able to gather feedback and then fix the ultimate product, that was the kind of example you should be talking about. Next one I have is frugality. Here what Amazon says is accomplish more with less. Constraints breed resourcefulness, self-sufficiency and invention. There are no extra points for growing headcount, budget size or fixed expense. So how can you be more productive with the resources you have? And the resources here are not just money, by the way. It's time, it's people, and it's money. So how you can optimize any one of them. Use your resources efficiently and wisely. Identifying versus an ideal scenario. So you create an ideal scenario and you say, okay, this is how things were being done. This is how ideally they should be done. If you do it in an ideal scenario, you can do it in 2 days. Currently, they are being done in a way where it takes 5 days. Which are the nodes, which are the action points where it is taking more time, and then you go about solving them. Find ways to achieve more with less. So how you can achieve more sales, more outcome with the same amount of resources or even less resources. So that is also frugality, that is also productivity. And encourage resourcefulness and cost efficiencies, that whatever we have is enough. How can we use this money, these resources in a better way so we can drive better results? Example could be I renegotiated supplier contracts, cutting our costs without sacrificing quality. So, and this could be going back to the supplier, understanding their supply chain and helping them out. How can they reduce their costs? So if they are able to reduce their costs, we can charge, or they can charge us less. And hence they see savings, we see savings, and eventually this is what frugality is, because we see savings in the entire supply chain and are able to renegotiate the contract. without impacting quality, because we were able to identify where the supplier was losing money and improve those nuts and bolts. And since we were able to fix those nuts and bolts for them without compromising the quality, we could have easily benefited from the cost saving that came from there. The next one is earn trust. And here what Amazon says is leaders listen attentively, speak candidly, and treat others respectfully. They are vocally self-critical even when doing so is awkward or embarrassing. Leaders do not believe their team's body odor smells of perfume. They benchmark themselves and their teams against the best. Here again, the idea is be honest, be transparent, be respectful, build trust, and through consistent actions and integrity. Trust is super important. So you need to talk about how you've built trust, how you've made use of trust in order to achieve good results, and communicate openly and listen actively. Be open to listen to feedback, hear feedback, and improve in yourself, in the team. But the idea is to earn trust so that the team can trust you. They know they can count on you. What you can talk about here is I was transparent about a mistake I made and worked with my team to fix it, which strengthened our trust. So you made some mistake and you were very open and transparent about it, that you made a mistake and it was an error on your behalf, and you take responsibility of it. And then you work with the team to figure out how this is not repeated in future. So this is the kind of example you can use in earning trust. Next one is deep dive, which is again very important for managerial roles as well. Is leaders operate at all levels, stay connected to the details, audit frequently, and are skeptical with metrics and anecdote differ. No task is beneath them. So they are ready to roll their sleeves. Pay attention to detail, be thorough in your work, get involved in the details and understand the intricacies of the situation. Be diligent and skeptical of data that doesn't align. So if there is some data which doesn't make sense, you deep dive into it. You go like, okay, these numbers don't make sense. I just want to look into it further. I want to do it through my own hands. I want to understand it more. So don't be someone who's like, because I've become a leader now, I have people reporting to me, I just don't do any work. I just do the decision making and thinking. No, there will be instances where you roll up your sleeves and deep dive into the information, into the data, into the project itself. So here, for instance, I discovered an error in our sales data by closely analyzing records, which helped us correct our strategy. I was sitting in a meeting, I realized there was some inconsistency. I went back, took all the information, data that was being presented, took it with me, analyzed it, and then came back to the team and said there were certain inconsistencies in the data and kind of helped them understand what those mismatches were. And then together worked with them how we can like recommunicate them and fix the strategy overall so that we make the best decision and we receive the right results. The next one is have backbone, disagree, and commit. Here what Amazon says is leaders are obligated to respectfully challenge decisions when they disagree. Be open, be okay with challenging. There is no harm. You won't lose friends. It's not about losing friends. It's about making the right decision, even when doing so is uncomfortable or exhausting. Leaders have conviction and are tenacious. They do not compromise for the sake of social cohesion. Just because you want to make friends, you just go and compromise. No, you take a position where you challenge people, you challenge the status quo, even if that means that you will be put in an awkward situation or your colleagues will be put in an awkward situation. Once a decision is determined, they commit wholly. However, with all the challenging, with all the disagreement that is there, once a commitment has been made that even though you disagree, this is the decision which has been made, then you commit fully behind that decision, and you stand behind the decision because it has the maximum votes, or it has the maximum support, or it has the management support. And while you raised your opinion, you raised your challenges, they were heard, they were understood. However, they still made a different choice. But now, since the choice has been made, they expect you to stand behind it and commit to it. For example, here you can talk about I presented data to challenge a marketing strategy, and after discussion, we adjusted the plan for better results. Again, similar to the previous one where you put some challenge. Let's say your superior was trying to go in a particular direction, which you were not okay with, and then you challenged. But then you also have to explain how did you go about challenging it. You made use of data, you made use of expert opinion, you made use of strategy, benchmark exercises, a lot of things that you did, and then you brought all that information to your superior and told them, see, what you're suggesting is not the right approach because the data says something else, experts are saying something else, and all the benchmarking exercises that you've done are pointing in a different direction. So you kind of convince them not just because you believe it is wrong, but rather there is rationale for it to be wrong. So you kind of explain all of that to your manager, your superior, or whoever is taking that decision. Next one is deliver results. Here, what Amazon says is leaders focus on the key inputs for their business and deliver them with the right quality and in a timely fashion. Like, they're focused on results. Despite setbacks, they rise to the occasion and never settle. Here, the idea is you focus on achieving key goals and objectives, overcome obstacles, and deliver quality work on time. So how can you get this delivered within the deadline, ahead of deadline, in a smart, in a quality way? Stay committed to delivering results despite challenges. So even if there is challenge, don't go like, okay, this is a difficult path to take, I'll skip this one. Rather, even when there was difficulty, how did you go about saying, no, we will continue to commit, or we'll continue to work on this since we committed to work on this and this is the right thing to do. An example here is, despite supply chain issues, I ensured we met our production targets, boosting our revenue. So there was COVID, and because of COVID, we had challenges with regards to supply chain. And how did we make sure, I made sure that we continue to deliver on our supply chain targets or delivering our product to the right customers in that particular time? How did I ensure it? What was the process that I took in order to ensure that the results were still delivered despite the challenges? Now, there are two other leadership principles, leadership principle 15 and 16. 15 is strive to be Earth's best employer. Again, this is not something which is talked a lot. It's not something that would be talked a lot in your interview. So nothing that you need to really worry about. And second one is success and scale bring broad responsibility. This is another leadership principle which is not used in interview assessments or in candidate assessments. So again, you can skip this part as well. You can go online and read what they are, but I won't elaborate more on them. Again, the idea of this video was to tell you what the leadership principles are, which again, as I said, you can read, but more than that, how do you understand them, internalize them, and can relate to them? So you can come up with examples or stories from your past in your interview. So whenever you are asked a question around frugality, you know what this individual is talking about. This individual is talking about how I can save money, how I can save time, how I can save resources. Whenever they ask you a question around results, you know that they are talking about delivering results, which is being focused on results and facing the challenges, even if the challenges come with regards to results. Or if they talk about earning trust. So earning trust, what do they mean? They're looking for someone who can create trust in the team, in the organization, who can not only trust people, but also make other people trust him or her. So with this, you'll have an idea as to how you go about answering the questions for each of the leadership principles. Thank you for watching this video. Hopefully this video was helpful for you. And in case you found value from this video, I'm sure you'll find value from another video on my channel where I talk about how you can go about introducing yourself in an interview. You can check it out here. Other than that, there's another video where I talk about how you can control your nerves in the interview. I feel nervous as well in the interview. I'm sure you do as well. Here's the video, check it out and calm down your nerves.